Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Hardy with another Make Your Own Instrument music lesson. So today we're going to talk shakers. In music class we have lots of varieties of shakers that we use. We have a set of maracas, we have egg shakers, we have rain sticks. We even have a few uh, different types of bells, sleigh bells. Of course, we're used to shaking those, especially around Christmas time. But today we're going to talk about shakers kind of like the maracas. So last week was Easter, and a lot of you, I'm sure, have some of these sitting around. So this is what we call an Easter egg. It's a plastic one. Usually it comes in two halves. And chances are you found a bunch of these in your yard or in your neighbor's yard, or someone gave you a basket with a few of these in it. It doesn't have to be, one solid color like mine is. That's just what mine happens to be. Um, and they don't have to be huge. You can have them pretty much any size you want. But we're going to use this to create egg shakers just like what we have in class. Now, really the only thing that you have to do with these, once you have them open and all the candy's gone, is fill them with something that's going to make a sound. Now, depending on what it is that you're using, the sound is going to be different. So we've got a few options. I went through my cabinets and I found a few things that might be, acceptable to fill our shakers with. So let's take a look at a couple of items. Okay, so the first item that I have are some dried beans. Now these are fairly large, and if you remember what we said about sound, the larger something is, the lower the sound it's going to make. So it's going to give our egg shaker kind of a deeper sound. This is the largest item that I have in my cabinets to put in my egg shaker. So I'm going to take just, doesn't take much. I think I've got like maybe 10, somewhere around there, 10 beans here, and I'm going to put them into my egg. I'm going to seal it up. There you go, nice little pop so we know it's sealed. And now I've got an egg shaker with some dried beans in it. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so that has a deeper sound. It doesn't quite sound like the egg shakers that we have at school, but it's still a nice sound. We can still shake that kind of an egg shaker. Now, the next thing that I have that I'm going to put in is I've got some rice, okay? Again, doesn't take much. I probably have maybe a teaspoon of rice, not much, okay? And I'm going to put it into my egg and seal it up again. Pop. Now, the rice was definitely a lot smaller than the bean. Let's compare the two for just a minute. So you see, there's my grain of rice, there's my bean. So we've got two different sizes going on. Notice I used a lot more grains of rice than I did beans. So let's see what our grains of rice sound like. Sounds a little bit more like our shakers in school. Okay, I'm going to open my egg again, hopefully without getting the rice all over my table. I'm sure that my dog and cat would appreciate that greatly. Okay, and I'm going to pour this back into my nice little music instrument box. Now, the last thing we're going to use, not everyone's going to have this in their house, but it's something I really like, especially for breakfast. So I'm going to use it. It's grits. Most of you know what grits are, right? It's ground up corn. It's a specific type of corn called hominy. And a lot of people eat grits in the morning kind of like you would oatmeal. I like my grits with lots of butter. I like my grits with lots of butter. And I'm going to use a lot of grits compared to the rice and the beans, because when we look at the size of the grits there, can you see that? It's one teeny tiny grain from the grits. Now let's compare that to that grain of rice. That even makes that grain of rice look really big. And then let's compare that to a bean. Okay? Whoop. There we go. So we see we've got our bean, we've got our grain of rice, and right there we've got one of our grits. So I'm going to use quite a few more grits than I did beans or rice. Now I'm probably not going to use this whole little scoop of mine, but because this is probably about 2 tablespoons, that might be a bit too much. But I'm going to take the biggest part of the egg because I feel like it's easier. And I'm going to carefully pour my grits in till it's about halfway full. I think that's good. And then let's close our egg again. Now, we went from a bean to a grain of rice to a grit. Okay? Let's see what the sound is. I don't know, friends. Those grits might sound a little bit more like our shakers that we have at school. So there we have our egg shakers. Now, if you want to decorate your egg shakers, there are lots of ways to do that too. Since they're made out of plastic, you could take a permanent marker, kind of like a Sharpie, and draw patterns all over it. You could tape it together. I doubt Mom and Dad would be really happy if there were grits or rice or beans flying all over the place. So you could take some duct tape and wrap it in duct tape and decorate it that way. But just remember, this is your instrument. You can make it however you want. Okay, so let's talk one other kind of shaker. Okay, so chances are that since our quarantine has been going on and we've all been home, you have probably seen a lot of these around your house, right? We've been eating a lot of canned foods. But the nice thing is we can make a really cool shaking instrument out of those. Now, mine, as you can tell, it's already been emptied, used, washed. Good idea to wash them so that you don't have anything sticky or smelly on the inside. And then dried. Now, this is going to be kind of a multiple use percussion instrument. First thing I want you to notice is that my can has these ridges on it. Okay? So I could take something like a pencil or a spoon, or I have chopsticks in my house because we like Chinese food and my husband likes to show off and use them. I'm not that good at using them, but I have chopsticks. So you could take a chopstick and you could scrape, kind of like our gyros that we have at school. So we have a scraping instrument. How awesome is that? Okay? So just remember, these cans that you see, I'm sure you can find all kinds of uses for them, but you want to wash them out first. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this kind of into a multiple use instrument. I've already shown you how it can be a scraper. Now we're going to turn it into a shaker, sort of a bigger version of our egg shaker. So first things first, we need something to put inside it. And I've already shown you our three choices: beans, rice, and grits. Personally, for this particular project, I feel like the grits might not be loud enough, and I feel like the beans might be too loud, and they might actually break the instrument if you shake it with too much force. So I think we're going to go with some rice, and I'm going to take my little scoop of rice and I'm going to go ahead and put it into the can. So again, probably about a little less than 2 tablespoons. Oh, that makes a cool sound just going in there. Now, because we've taken the top off of this can, we need something to hold the rice in there. We obviously don't want to use our hand because, well, honestly, chances are we're not going to be able to seal it completely. Chances are something would fall out. Okay? I'm going to use a balloon. Now, I've taken this balloon and I've cut the top part off where you blow into it because that gets really skinny. I'm using the big part of the balloon. And just like whenever you're blowing up a balloon, you want it to be nice and stretchy, so I'm going to stretch it and I'm going to move it around a little bit so that the rubber has a chance to stretch and breathe. And then I'm going to open my balloon and I'm going to stick all 4 of both hands, all 4 fingers of both hands inside. That's going to help me stretch it open. And I'm going to keep my thumbs on the outside like this. Now, I'm taking out my pointer fingers and I'm grabbing the can on one side with my pointer fingers and using that to kind of hold the can in place. And I'm stretching that over the top. And there we go. So now we can see that that balloon has stretched. Notice I did not stretch it all the way down onto the ridges. I stretched it just, whoops, there we go, just to where that part meets the ridges. Now, that balloon is not going to stay on its own. This is where you get to have a little fun and kind of decorate your instrument a little bit. You can take different colors of duct tape. I personally am going to use my Minions duct tape because I miss all of you, my little minions, and it's just fun. And I kind of chose a yellow balloon. So I am going to take this duct tape and I am going to start peeling it. Now, because I've got my nice little pattern on here and I don't want to lose any of my minions in the process, I'm going to take the tape and I'm going to lay it so that 1/3 of it, about the width of my thumb, is on the balloon itself. Another 1/3 is on the can down where the ridges are. And the last 1/3, you'll notice it's kind of sticking above the can. There's a reason for that. And I'm going to take my tape and wrap it the whole way around. And I'm going to take my thumb and smooth that tape around as much as I can. And hopefully I did a pretty good guess there. I got my tape all the way around so that the ends are pretty much touching. Now, this extra tape that we have at the top, we're going to use that again to help hold that balloon in place. I'm going to press on here And then I'm going to go a little bit further and I'm going to press down. And I'm going to go a little further and I'm going to press down. It's going to make a nice little rim on top of our drum shaker. That's what I'm calling these because, well, you'll see in a minute. I'm going to gently go around and create a rim the whole way around the top. It's fun. We have all these little minions looking at us. And there we go. Now, notice I said this was going to be a multifunctional instrument, right? We already know that we can take a chopstick or a pencil or a spoon or anything else and we can scrape these ridges. We can also, this is our drum head, we can pat the drum head. Notice I did not say hit it with anything other than your hand, other than your fingers, because you don't want to break the balloon or you're going to have rice all over the place. But we can pat just like we do with our bongos at school. Makes a kind of neat little popping sound. And of course, we have the ability to do what we did with our egg shaker, and that's shake it. It's really up to you. It's your instrument. Now, I did mention decorating. You don't want to cover the ridges with duct tape. I've already put some duct tape on this one little section, and here's why. Whenever we're scraping, if we scrape the metal ridges, listen to the sound. If I scrape where there's tape, we've now got a layer, a buffer in between the metal ridges and our scraping implement, whatever that is. It's a little harder to hear, isn't it? I switched it around, used the thicker end of my chopstick, and that worked a little bit better. But if you want a really decent sound, my suggestion, don't cover those ridges. Now, you could always take more duct tape around this bottom section and decorate it there. You could put stickers around this bottom section. You could take, again, permanent markers, Sharpies, and instead of decorating the sides of the can with tape, which is going to dull the sound, which we don't want, you could draw patterns, squiggles, dots all over this part of the can. Okay? It is, again, your instrument. Be creative with it. There's nothing wrong with that. So I hope you've enjoyed making your own shakers today. Remember, you can fill them with whatever you want. We filled our egg shaker with grits. It's a little bit of a softer sound, but again, it's completely up to you. If you have a can and you want to use your can, that's great. I would love to see pictures or videos of these. You could email them to me and I could share them on my YouTube page or share them on our school Facebook page. I would love to see the instruments that you're creating. All right, so until next time, friends, have fun making music. It can be fun anywhere.